A lot of people are they've questioned, the rumors, and, there's certain individuals out there that are a little bit unsavory in the public opinion, which is, I think, warranted. But I will say this, and I'm not excusing anything that should happen because I don't know what's going to happen, but you have to realize where the Suns are right now as a franchise with their big three, the salary cap, all the ramifications that will happen tenfold starting this next calendar year. So this season is basically your last opportunity with the little wiggle room that you do have to be able to bring in talent to be able to help reinforce what you have. Because next year it gets significantly more difficult. Like, your trade swaps can only be 1-for-1. You can't do multiple player trades. The cap ramifications, like, there's just too many restrictions on you starting next year. And so you have to at least explore every opportunity. You might not take every opportunity and you might not like every opportunity, but you do have to at least explore it. And that's what I would say when we're talking about individuals out there that might be a little bit more toxic in public opinion. And I think we all know who we're talking about, but I'm not going to put EJ in that position to talk about it. So I'm going to say it. So that's the thing that I want to make sure that we all know, is because you have to look at these options. I'm not saying you need to take them. I would be absolutely against taking one of them. But outside of that, I think you have a lot of opportunity here to improve your team, and this is your last chance to really do that at a higher level than next season.
No, I'm not afraid to. Who are you talking about?
Miles Bridges.
Okay, I know. Listen, what I will say to this, and I think I mean, I spend a lot of time. I have a tremendous organization.
Yep.
Helping Hands for Single Moms. I've raised millions of dollars over the last number of years, helping this organization. It's highly supported in the Valley. We have a tremendous weekend every year, sending these moms to school, making sure that they're taken care of, that they're getting all the support that they need to be able to raise their family, but also go after their goals. And so we send them to college. We make sure that they have cars. We make sure that they have no stress, whether it's babysitters, car breaks down, get it fixed for free. We really grab hold of them and allow them to be successful. And so that's my infomercial. So if anybody ever wants to, support Helping Hands for Single Moms, I encourage you to do it in whatever way, volunteerism or obviously writing a check, because it all goes to a great cause, every single dime. And so in saying that, and I've said this time and time again, women are the most strongest people on the face of this earth. They put up with so much. My mom's 94 years old, raised 7 kids by herself, and she's still viable. She's still here. I believe God kept her here because she was mom and dad. So he's combining both years. That's just how I view it. And so, I understand that part of it. Miles Bridges did something that you don't do. You don't do. And he's got to spend the rest of his life making it right. And the way I look at it is he's got to put himself in that position to do it, but he's also got to still do his job. And in saying that, wherever he plays here, if he plays in another city, he's got to attach himself to women's groups and make sure that he wants to put himself in a situation where he'll never be forgiven 100%, but at least he'll be a good voice for what not to do. And that's just the way I view it. And I know some fans might not like whatever city he goes to, and they might want to fight it, and that's fine. But as long as he's out there making amends and doing the right thing, then I'll be okay with that. And I think that's just the key. But from a basketball standpoint, he's a tremendous basketball player. He's a 2010 guy. And like you said, the salary cap makes it unique because he's got a tradable contract. And he's in a position now where he's not going to get a huge contract anymore. So he's going to probably try to put himself in a good position to where he can, achieve that, but also have success. So That's just my point on it. And either way, how it happens, if it happens, I'm just looking at, okay, what are you doing off the court to make amends for the mistake that you made?
1,000,000%. You know, listen. It's a complicated and it is a toxic topic for a lot of fans, and we totally get that. I think your point is taken for sure in terms of what are you doing to try and better yourself, learn from the situation. There is the other issue of this is a repetitive issue now, and there is a court case coming up in February that is just it's unavoidable. And it's something that you have to acknowledge, and you have to acknowledge it on various degrees. And whether people want to choose to acknowledge it or not, or they want to look the other way for basketball purposes, or if they truly believe that whatever Miles says in terms of his rehabilitation to try and better himself, it's completely up to every individual. And it's not an easy topic, and it's not an easy situation to talk about because, it's hard to look at an individual like that and know that you've invested so much time and effort and emotion into your team, and thinking that, these are good guys. It's the reason why Cam and Mikal are so revered here in the Valley, because they just genuinely are good people, and people want to support good people. So then when you counteract that with somebody that might be like a Miles Bridges type to come in here, it is hard to look at your team and want to root for the team while also not liking a specific player for whatever the reason, right? And this, obviously, it would be a domestic violence reason. And I think both are warranted. And it's going to put a lot of Suns fans in a position to have to deal with both of those if that should happen. And it's...
You know what I would say to people, because sometimes people, when they see that someone does something, like I grew up in the inner city of Chicago, my brothers, my cousin, were gangbangers. They took lives. I'm not going to hide that. When you put yourself in a gang banging situation, you're shooting at people. You're not doing good. My brother lived half his life in prison. My cousin died at 18, killed at 18. And so I grew up in that environment. And, so many people out there that have done wrong, but we can make them better by not being so negative toward it and then try to help them. A lot of times people want to rip on people. They want to persecute people. They want to just dig a grave for them, get rid of them. No, this is when you want to help people to turn them around, because it'll make the world a better place. We reach out and help people instead of always trying to sit at home and rip people. What are you doing? Like, I always tell people, what are you leaving behind? Like, this life is short. Man, look, I'm serious. I'm 64, and I'm telling you, I don't know how the heck I got from 30 to 64 this fast. I just don't. But I feel good. You know why? Because every day I'm trying to do something, like to leave something behind. I keep telling people, it's no U-Haul behind a hearse.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So what are you leaving behind? Like, instead of like putting people down and looking at yourself and thinking you're perfect when you're not perfect, okay? The word perfect is a lie. So what are you leaving behind? Like, stop concentrating on other thoughts of other people, right? And they want to rip other people. Oh, he's no good. What are you doing? Like, look in the mirror and tell yourself, what are you doing to help guys like Miles Bridges or anyone else that has made mistakes? What are you doing? Are you just beating down on them, or are you going to try to find a way to help them? And that's what I would tell people. Like, if that happened and he did come here in a trade, I would like people to think positive and say, okay, we're going to try to do everything we can so this young man could never, ever think of doing anything like this again, and put pressure on him to be able to go out and do things like I just said, right? Help women's organizations. Make sure that you keep the focus on him. I thought that's what rehabilitation was all about. Some people look at rehabilitation as just put them away. No. If you're going to put them away, you're supposed to teach them to be better people so when they get out, they don't do it again.
Yeah.
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 So the people get distorted with that, man. And so I lived that life. I could write a book on that stuff. It would scare a lot of you all, okay? And I tell you what, never was in a gang, even though they said I was, never was, okay? Never harmed anybody. But you know what? I was this close from going to the other side. And it took people to keep me away from going to that other side. And that's what you got to do with your effort instead of putting people down.
I appreciate that, man. I really do.
Exactly.
That was a great perspective, man.